Hello, hello, brothers and sisters. I felt motivated to create another video here, and I'm titling it No Christian Can Answer Truthfully This Question, or No Christian Can Truthfully Answer This Question. And so Christians really have no clue what's going on. I hear them all the time spouting off information that they think is true and accurate, and it couldn't be further from the truth. But this is apparent when we consider several things that they don't know what's going on. We're going to start with some simple things. How about this question? Why do people still die after Yeshua the Messiah died on the Christ, right? He died in the year 31, April 23rd on a Wednesday. And since that time, there has been no difference. People are still dying, just like they were before. Why are people still dying when Yeshua the Messiah came to save us? You see, they do not know the answer to this question, so they make up fairy tales like, well, when you die, you go to heaven and sit on a cloud and play a harp. But you're not really dead. When you are really dead, but you're not really dead, right? And then, if it's not something like this, they make it up. Like, well, when you go to heaven, you'll see your dead loved ones and live forever in heaven with them. Okay? This is the kind of stuff they say. Now, they tell you all these things while they look you straight in the eye, but they do not have one scripture to back up any of their nonsense, none of their claims. There's no scriptures that back up their claims whenever they start spouting off stuff like this. But they do not realize that their vision of heaven is more like a pagan's vision of heaven, which is called Valhalla. Their heaven and hell myth, it more resembles like Greek mythology, where Elysium was the final resting place for the souls of heroes, demigods, and especially the virtuous, creating an idyllic paradise. The bad people went to a place called Hades or hell, where they're tortured forever and ever. Sound familiar? This is definitely a Christian belief. Furthermore, in their pagan Christian myth of hell, the devil rules over Hades, torturing the people that are doomed to go there. You see this all the time, and you ask any Christian who's in charge of hell, they're going to tell you the devil is, right? Because they just don't know. This is right in line with the Greek and Roman pagan myths of what hell or Hades is all about. Why do Christians get so upset when we call them pagans when that is exactly what they believe in? That is who they are. They are pagans. The scriptures tell us that Yeshua the Messiah rules over hell. In fact, it says he has the keys of death and Hades. Notice Revelation 1:18. Yeshua speaking here, I am the living one. I was dead, and now look, I am alive forevermore, and I hold the keys of death and Hades, letting you know that he's the one in control of hell and Hades, not the devil. Okay? Interesting how they get this all wrong. Christians even call the Messiah, Yeshua, or Jesus Christ, as they say, the Antichrist. They call Jesus Christ the Antichrist. You really cannot make this stuff up, but it's true, they do. In Daniel 9:27, it's speaking of Yeshua the Messiah confirming the covenant with his disciples. This would cause all animal sacrifices to cease. We know this because of the entire context of Daniel chapter 9. So let's read it. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and the prophecy. Now notice this, and to anoint the most holy. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until who? Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks, and 62 weeks. And the street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times. And after 62 weeks, the Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood. And unto the end of the war desolations are determined. And he, who's the he, shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week he shall cause a sacrifice and oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation that is determined shall be poured upon the desolate. Okay? You really cannot make this up. They're actually calling the Messiah the Antichrist. Can you believe it? Nowhere in that scripture does it say that the Antichrist is going to make a covenant with the many. Nowhere. Want to see? Well, let's take a look at it again. Look at there. And notice where it says, and he shall confirm the covenant, right? Who's he? The Messiah, the Prince. The Messiah, the Prince shall confirm the covenant with the many, with his disciples. In the 1 week, notice in the midst of the week, he shall cause sacrifice and oblation to cease. That's whenever animal sacrifices are no more. You see? And the overspreading of abominations or sin, he shall make it desolate. You see? Going to bring sin, make it desolate, even until the consummation. What's the consummation? The marriage of Yeshua with his church at the 1,000-year reign. And that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. You see? That determined shall be poured upon the desolate, meaning Jerusalem. Okay? Now, let's take a look at all these YouTube thumbnails from these Christians. It's unreal what they believe. Look at this. A covenant confirmed, Daniel 9:27. The covenant of Daniel 9:27. The Abraham Accords and the man of lawlessness by Tribulation Watch. Notice this guy. Antichrist Peace Treaty. Coming soon, Daniel 9:27. They're calling Yeshua the Antichrist. They're calling Jesus the Antichrist. The temple will be rebuilt, then chaos will follow. Daniel 9:27. Living waters. You see? It is just unreal. Look at it. Is this the covenant with the many? Daniel 9:27. And he has Netanyahu and Trump on there. The Watchman River. Really, you can't make this stuff up. Here's another one. Here we go. Are we watching Daniel 9:27 unfold before our eyes by the Watchman, Daniel 9:27? You know, with the political leaders, right? That's just crazy to me. That's right. The Christian faith is no more than a pagan religion. This is why they do not know the scriptural answer to why do we still die even after Yeshua died on the cross. I'm going to tell you something. Daniel 9:27 has a lot to do with it. It's because they do not know what the scriptures say. If they knew what Daniel 9:27 was all about, they would know what this covenant is. I'll show you. I'll show you right here and now what the covenant was that Daniel was speaking of. It was the covenant that Daniel read from the book of Jeremiah. That's right. Daniel actually refers to this at the beginning of chapter 9. Okay, here is the scripture from Jeremiah. Behold, the days come, saith Jehovah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers, in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, saith Jehovah. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, saith Jehovah, I will put my law into the inward parts, and write it in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know Jehovah, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith Jehovah. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. Jeremiah 31, verses 31 through 34. Just in case you didn't know, Daniel was an avid reader of Jeremiah. He admired Jeremiah because Jeremiah existed before Daniel. This is the covenant that Daniel 9:27 is speaking of. Notice what Daniel 9:2 says. This is Daniel chapter 9, verse 2, the very beginning of this. In the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of the years whereof the word of Jehovah came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. Notice that. Daniel chapter 9, verse 2, he tells you right there he's reading from Jeremiah the prophet. You see, what does Jeremiah the prophet tell you of? He tells you about the new covenant. Christians cannot understand this because they are a pagan religion. Now, are you still wondering about the question, why do people still die even after Yeshua died on the cross? You need to understand something very fundamental about our scriptures, and that is this: the Sabbath day. You cannot understand it unless you understand the Sabbath day. Now, the Sabbath day is the 1,000-year reign of Christ that you read about in the scriptures. From the Gospels to Revelation, it all refers to the Sabbath day, or the millennial reign of the Messiah, Yeshua, the 1,000-year reign. This is a very fundamental thing that you must understand. Yeshua confirmed the covenant with his apostles in the first century. Remember when he said this? In the same way, after the supper, he took the cup, saying, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is poured out for you." Luke 22:20. Notice the new covenant, referring to what Jeremiah and Daniel prophesied about. Are you getting the picture? Do you recall all the healing and resurrections that he did on the Sabbath, at least all the healings? John 5, 1 through 15, Jesus healed a man who had been an invalid for 38 years at the pool of Bethesda. Mark 3, 1 through 6, Jesus heals a man with a shriveled hand in the synagogue. Luke 6, 6 through 11, Jesus healed a man with a withered hand in the synagogue on the Sabbath. Luke 13, 10 through 17, he heals a woman who had been crippled by a spirit for 18 years. Luke 14, all these things he did on the Sabbath. He healed a man with dropsy, swelling in the home of a prominent Pharisee. Do you think this was just for show? Do you think he was just entertaining people? No, he was communicating something to you. John 9, 1 through 41, he healed a man born blind. Okay, so you need more? What was Yeshua, what was he communicating to you? Matthew 12, 8, for the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. Very interesting. Mark 2, 28, therefore the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath. Luke 6, 5, the Son of Man is also Lord of the Sabbath. Interesting. Do you know what Yeshua the Messiah is communicating to you here? He is telling you that he is going to come again on the 7th day, the 7,000th year. And this is when the earth will be restored. The dead will be raised. There will be no more war, no more pain, no more suffering. Do not be amazed at this, for a time is coming when all who are in their graves will hear his voice and come out. He states that John 5, 28 and 29. If only Christians would read the scriptures. He's talking about the Sabbath, the 1,000-year reign, the millennial reign that is in the future. This is why Yeshua the Messiah died on the cross, you see. Now you know why people still die. Okay? Even after he died on the cross, because he was confirming the covenant. It was a day still yet to come, and we are right at the cusp of it. This is how he saves mankind from sin and death. On the 7th day, the 1,000th year reign. Some of you might make it to the other side of that great battle. I want you to know this. The next battles to take place are not to punish every unrighteous person on earth. That's not what Armageddon is about. This next battle will be a military and world government takeover battle. Okay? This has to happen to usher in the Messiah's kingdom. None of the governments that you see in charge today will be in charge then. We have to wipe out all these governments in order for the king to reign. Then he's going to show the whole world what true love and forgiveness actually is. We, the elect, will be ruling with him to turn everyone back to the Torah, to follow the Messiah. You may be surprised when you see all the people that make it through to the other side. There will be a lot of them. I mean, you'll see atheists, murderers, uh, all kinds of people that have committed all kinds of sin, because it's going to be a time of healing. It's going to be a time of restoration. It's going to be a time of turning people back to the Torah, because all have violated the Torah, you see. Understand that this is not the judgment of every person. That comes at the end of the 1,000-year reign. Matthew 25 and Revelation 20. This is speaking at the end of the 1,000-year reign. That's that great white throne judgment. This next battle, Armageddon, is just getting rid of these governments and imprisoning the wicked spirit forces in heavenly places so that the king can reign and restore the earth back to the paradise it was. This battle starts in order to save mankind from the wicked spirit forces who control the governments and the military now. It's okay if you don't believe me. You will. Shalom, shalom.